So I'm going to be disconnecting my existing well. As you can see, here's the incoming filter, or incoming line goes through the filter, and then it goes to the rest of the house from this point. So down here, I actually just this past weekend, I pulled in a new poly line. In your area, make sure you adhere to your regulations. But this is rated for 250 psi, and this is actually trenched out all the way in the yard. I had to pay for a new curb stop from my water authority. They put it in. I had to dig to a minimum of 4.5 feet, which is what this pipe is at, and they're going to come in today and actually install this. But as part of that requirement, I have to disconnect my well. So that's what we're going to do today. So first step, I actually have these two shut-offs. So I'm going to shut off before, just like that. That comes from my water softener, and I'm going to shut off after the filter. Now we're going to go upstairs and we're going to actually drain the pressure from the system, because this right now is around 50 psi from my pump, and I'm actually going to drain the pressure from the system, and then we'll be able to disconnect and drain the remaining water is from right there. So very simply, all you're going to do is go to your sinks. Oh, you can see it's already lost some pressure. We'll do both the hot and cold side. Perfect. Next, you're going to want a 5-gallon bucket. I just got a little Home Depot one. They're pretty cheap. That's going to be, the rest of the line has water, right? There's no more pressure, but there's still water. So there's a little bit of pressure actually at this point, because you have the weight of all the water through the line down to this point. So I'm actually going to disconnect this, and we're going to drain the water, but we need something to catch it. So that's what this bucket's here for. I'm also going to keep this existing valve here just as a backup. I can use it at some point later, but I'm going to keep these two valves closed here just to ensure that no water pressure leaks past. And I actually bought a SharkBite valve right here, and in the bag it actually comes with this SharkBite disconnect tool. So you can see that this kind of has a plunger that pushes in, and there's teeth in there that bite around the pipe. So this tool just simply is going to slide over the pipe, and I can actually remove it if I mess it up. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to keep this aside. See, it just slips right over. So you can see I actually just hung this bucket by 2 screws I sunk in my area because I don't have a partner for this project. So this should hopefully help. And I put that SharkBite removal tool right here. And we're going to try to use this. I just have to push down this plastic ring like this. It just snaps right over, and it actually should be able to push down on the teeth. Let's try it. I slipped it down. Now I just have to remove it. All right, it's coming. It's gonna leak some water in a second. You can see the water starting to leak. We'll just let that drain. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this water softener box, and what we're gonna do is, the reason why we're gonna do that is because this pipe right here on the left that I'm pointing at, that is my 1-inch water main that's coming in. Follow that. So later today, the water authority in my area is actually gonna come out. They're gonna cut it. They have the parts. They're gonna inspect the line and put on the new meter. I wanna move some of this stuff. This is my pressure bladder for my well. I want to keep that. I want to keep the line going up into my hose bib here. I have one that's actually on the other side of the house. I want to keep that too. But I mean, the reality is I don't need to keep this, right? My plants don't care about the minerals in my water. They don't even care if there's a filter. So I may end up keeping the filter, who knows? But at least for, I can always add that later, right? So at least for right now, what's going to happen is I'm going to turn off my pump. Luckily, I have a switch right here. I can disconnect the pump. But I also have circuit breakers outside that I can use. I'm not saying this is going to be your situation, but this is my situation. And now, remember what we did this? We're gonna flip it over. I still have that bucket underneath, and we're gonna drain it into there. So I actually just removed that short length of pipe that was connected from here up, and I'm just going to shortly press this in. It's barely in there. I'm going to be able to remove it a lot easier. But basically, I have that there because this is going to act like a little gutter because there's still pressure in that bladder. So I'm going to go turn on the valves and we'll see some water leak out. So, opening one. And let's have... I've actually just removed the second valve that was after that filter, and I'm going to actually place it right here in the system, and then I can disconnect everything else and remove it. And the reason why I'm placing it right there is because if I follow this line up, I can still see it goes out to that hose bib. I want to be able to use that hose bib, so I'm just going to connect the shutoff right there. And in order to do that, I recommend getting a little pipe cutter. Now this thing was, I don't know, $12, pretty cheap. I'll be able to use it for the whole project. So let's do that. And this pipe cutter is going to allow us to make a nice clean square cut with very little, if any, burrs. So let's cut this here. So let me get my pipe or my bucket over because it's probably still going to be a little bit of water, and we want an easy cleanup. She's seated all the way. And then we're just going to simply close it. And the well's disconnected. And to test that, turn on the pump. You saw that line charge? We're good. Now we're going to remove the filter and everything. And I have these adjustable, it's almost like a crescent wrench from Knipex. They're really good. I recommend getting them. I'm just going to remove, these are hex-headed bolts. So, and these are just threaded into the PVC of this filter. So I'm going to remove this from the area to give my water authority plenty of room to work. And because honestly, I don't need it. My plants don't need filtered water. I don't care that much. So now we're going to make the measurement from, this is the plumbing for the rest of the house that I have right here, and I want it to be the same height as the incoming pipe down here. So I'll just measure. It is going to be, I need to make a pipe that is roughly 62 inches. So I'm going to mark my pipe and cut 62 inches. Again, using my pipe cutter, I'm going to cut it for a nice clean square cut. Makes quick work. seat it fully. Push until it stops. Okay. I'm gonna put a 90 in. So my plan is, I'm gonna get a 90 this way in the corner, 90, and then we're at the wall where they're gonna put in their meter. From here to the wall, 40 inches. Watch me seat this pipe in. It goes all the way. So there's actually like a stop on the inside right around here. You'll feel it. It slides very easily. So I'm not sure what my camera actually ended up recording, but I have installed a 90 right here that's coming down from my plumbing. And then I've installed a shut-off valve that's just going to shut off after my meter to the rest of the house. And then I've installed a short length after to go into that 90, because over there, this is the main pipe, the main water line coming in. So the meter is going to go right there on the wall. And the last, but also pretty important piece, is this adapter, which goes from PEX 3/4 to a 3/4 inch NPT thread. Nice, clean cut. Perfect. So this guy is going to seat all the way in. Just like that. You see we've got a little extra hanging out. That's going to seat right there. Perfect. We got that little bit of extra. And that just is going to sit over there in the corner and thread into our meter. So after going to my water authority and paying $1,600, they give you some parts, as well as that covers the inspection fee and the meter installation fee. So they give you these sleeves, because this is 1-inch CTS, because I'm a residential district. I don't need that much water. You can always increase, but there's an added charge, at least in my area. So for me, I had to have 1-inch CTS or copper type K, and that's a compression type. So in order to stiffen this pipe up, they have these stainless steel water sleeves that go in the pipe. Then this is going to be their shut-off valve, right? And it's a 90, so when I plug it into the wall, or when they come into the wall, they can actually make it directional, make it look nice. Then they have this valve, which is a one-way directional valve, right? So water can come in. You can even see the arrow somewhere on here. Right there. There's the arrow. It's just pointing that way. See how you can't see any light through it? Well, there's actually a plunger. So water can only go one way, and I can't backfeed the system with potentially contaminated dirty water. And the last thing they gave me is the pressure reducing valve, because the water pressure on the main line is upwards of 200 psi, which is why I had to have 250 psi rated pipe. So this is going to drop it down to regular household level, because 200 psi in your faucet would not be a fun time. Something to note during this whole process is it may be a good idea to shut off the valves, if you have any, on top of your hot water tank, but also to either shut off entirely or turn on, like I did, turn down your water heater to low, because you don't want to risk possibly cracking your tank with really high water temperatures but very little water. So here's the actual trench line. Dug this over the weekend to 4.5 feet. This is just a board we had to cover up the actual valve. But you can see down there where we connected the 1-inch CTS. And then if we go over here, make sure you call your utility companies, by the way. I don't know what it is like in your area, but for me it's 811 DIG. And they marked all the underground utilities, the gas and everything. And then it comes into the house here. This board, very simply, if I can grab it. Well, it's a little too deep, but that board is just gonna cover where it goes into the house. Let's see, I might be able to use my foot and move it. So, you can see down there, that's where it goes into the house. So this is just open for inspection. So as you can see, the new meter has been installed. Now, he has that 90-degree shutoff. You put in the meter. This is that one-way check valve, and here's my pressure reducing valve. Now that is actually factory set at around 50 PSI, and I asked the tech who came in, he said it's about 80 PSI out by the road. So this drops it down to a more of an acceptable level here in the house. Goes through. This is on, you can tell it's on because it's in line with the pipe. And then goes through and to the rest of the house. Now after your water is installed, you're going to want to go through the house, open up all the faucets, and flush the toilet a few times to get out all the air and to let the contaminated well water leave the system and the new clean treated water come through. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll go through to the bathroom. May even see some colors, possibly some dirt. We did flush the line, but just letting out any of the sediment that may be in the line. And we'll even flush the toilet. We'll see. Yep. And we'll let this run for a few minutes. Here's the finished product. Everything works. Water was tested. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.